This is why we cinema. You know what I mean? Like this. This is why. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a brand new review. Today we'll be doing a spoiler review for Dune Part 2. Now, before we get started, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. And check out some of my videos. Back in like 2020, when I heard about the first Dune movie, I had no idea what Dune was. I didn't know it was a book. I just knew it was really popular. People were really hyped about the movie. So I did do a trailer reaction for the first movie on this channel. And I remember in that trailer reaction, I said how this reminded me of Game of Thrones and Star Wars. Which is funny because I quickly came to realize throughout the years that George Lucas just stole a bunch of things from Dune for Star Wars. After that, I went to go watch the first Dune movie, not having read the book or anything. And I remember back then, what is it, 2021? I thought, wow, this is a gorgeous film. But I'm on the side that I think it's a little too slow paced for my liking. However, I also understood that it was part 1 to 2 parts. And I remember a week after I saw Dune Part 1, I read online that Denis was like, okay, so part 1, we did it. We set everything up. We set the world up. Now part 2 is where the real action will be. And holy shit, did he not lie. Because Dune Part 2, it's like bigger than part 1. It's much more action-packed. It's just better, I'd say. Another thing is that to prepare for Dune Part 2, I actually went out and listened or read. I went on an audiobook binge, so I audiobooked Dune, the book. So going into part 2, I knew the full story and I knew what to expect. One of the things that I was wondering how this movie was going to pull this off, because I watched the trailer and I'm like, okay, through the trailer, Timothée Chalamet and they kind of look the same. But in the book, there has like a big time jump happens. A lot of time jumping actually happens. So much that in the book, Paul's sister is born and she grows up and becomes like a warrior. In the movie, she is in Rebecca Ferguson. She's like a fetus and there's multiple shots of the fetus inside of her. Actually, those shots remind me of the Star Child from 2001: A Space Odyssey. I don't think I was the only one who thought that. The biggest thing that I was thinking about is how are they going to do the time jump thing? Well, they're actually going to do it very well. It's not going to cover like years like the book did. It's going to cover a very short period, but we're still going to have all the story elements that the book covered in multiple years. We do get a cameo from Aaliyah, played by Anna Taylor-Joy, in like a dream sequence. So Anna Taylor-Joy, see you in part 3, I guess. Go see this on the biggest screen you can, because this movie is visually stunning. Oh my god. Just like the first movie was visually stunning, this one is even better. And then this one also has much more of an engaging story for my liking. So it just makes it an upgrade to part 1. But now you have part 1 and part 2 that if you just watch back to back, you'll probably get like a really satisfying full story here. The cinematographer Greg Fraser, who did The Batman, snapped with this one. I think the Oscar is in his bag already for 2024. Oh, just gorgeous imagery. The sheer demonstration of like scale is insane. The extreme long shots of environments to show you how like small people are compared to the scale of everything. It just... The performances. Timothée Chalamet went to the next level here as Paul Muad'Dib Atreides. What I've really liked is the movie starts with him being like, guys, I'm not him. I'm not your dude, okay? And actually, tagging along with that, we have Javier Bardem's character, Stilgard, who just really strongly believes in this fate. And there's a very funny scene where Paul goes, I'm not him, okay? And then Javier Bardem's character goes, see, he's him because he's so humble. Javier Bardem, it was really interesting to look back on because the whole theater was laughing at a lot of the things Javier Bardem's character was doing because he believed in this fate so strongly that he'd just be screaming like, yes, he's my king, he's my duke, I'm gonna follow him everywhere. And those scenes did lend to some comedy, but honestly, if you look back on it, it's just him really strongly believing in his fate. Like, he's not doing it to be funny, it's just what he believes in. That just lends to natural humor to flow through the story that's not very comedic, but if you want to have some little bit of comedic moments, you have Javier Bardem just going crazy for his fate. It was the most insane display of meat munching I have ever seen. Crazy. Like I said, Timothée Chalamet goes to the next level here. I really enjoy seeing his evolution throughout the movie. Again, he starts out being like, guys, I'm not your dude. I just want to be part of you. Teach me your ways and I'll be one of you. Don't look up to me like I'm your god. I'm not. But throughout the movie, time passes. His mom is doing some interesting things. And some other people within the Fremen group believe in him, that it all just kind of falls upon him. He tried to hold it off for as long as he could, but eventually, they made him see it. They opened up his mind, quite literally, by drinking the warm piss. It's kind of insane because throughout the first half of the movie, he's really respectful to the Fremen, and again, he's like, I want to be one of you guys, and he's excited to learn their ways, and he has Chani with him, Zendaya's character, and he's like in love with her, and she tells him something very crucial. She tells him, there's no ruler here. We all fight together. Nobody rules over us. And he's like, cool, sounds good. And by the end of the movie, he's like, I'm Paul Muad'Dib Atreides, Duke of Arrakis. Buddy, did you forget the humble beginnings? Did you forget how you just wanted to be one of them and now you're claiming to be the ruler? It was an incredible display of power and acting by Timothée Chalamet, that entire sequence when he fully claims to be the Duke of Arrakis. Crazy. Then there's also a sequence towards the end where he tells Reverend Mother to shut up. He just yells silence at her. The audio on that, the audio mixing, great. I love the way they display how this voice works. Like it's supposed to be very piercing to the victim and hurt them. So when the person uses the voice, it just kind of like throws the victim back a little bit. The music choices by Hans Zimmer were also really cool because towards the later half of the movie, when Paul finally accepts where he needs to be, or even just before that, there are shots of Paul just like walking the desert. He's got his hood on, or like Timothée Chalamet's hair is blowing in the wind. Just like a cool, hero shot kind of. But it's not like heroic music is playing over it. It's kind of sinister, villainous music playing over him just like walking. Again, portraying that like Paul, not a hero here, going down a dark path. No good. I really like Zendaya's portrayal of Chani. I think she's much better of a character than she is in the book. In the book, I found her a little bit annoying, and I thought she was just kind of like Paul's pet. She was like, oh, my Duke, I'll follow you anywhere. You want to get married? Sure. But Zendaya's Chani is much more independent and much more commanding, I'd say. And she tells him, she's like, yo, like they believe in you, but like me and this other side of the Fremen people don't really believe in that stuff. So don't come here telling us that you're our god, because I don't fuck with that shit. For all the people that complained in Dune Part 1 when they're like, Zendaya was only on screen for like 2 minutes, we came here to see Zendaya. Yeah, she definitely gets much more screen time here, and she gets much more to do here. I really like this Chani, and I think she's sick, and I can't wait to see what they do with her in Part 3, because the ending, in those final moments when Paul decides he's gonna marry the Emperor's daughter, first of all, hilarious way to set that up. He walked up to Chani, he's like, yo, listen, something's about to happen right now, but remember, I'll love you till my last breath, okay? Just remember that, okay? Because something's about to happen right now. And then he goes up to the Emperor, and he's like, yo, I'm marrying your daughter, yo. Chani was pissed. She also left, so that's a very interesting ending for her. I'm very excited to see where they take her story in Part 3, because I think she has to kind of end up back with Paul. Maybe she's just like a little mad. She's just going for like a walk. She's just going for like a little ride just to blow off some steam, and then she'll be right back. I would say one of the other scene stealers in this movie was Austin Butler's Fade Routha. When he shows up on screen, that entire sequence on their planet with the sun and the black and white lighting, gorgeous. I loved the Colosseum fight. That was so intense, so awesome. And then his presence at the end fight with him versus Paul, no music, great choice, great combat, great performance by both actors there. Even though I knew what was going to happen, I was sitting at the edge of my seat. I was like, how are they going to do this? What's about to happen? Who's going to take who out? Like, okay, I knew who was going to take who out, but I was excited to see how it was going to happen. Some people from early reviews were saying Austin Butler is like the new best villain that we have seen. They were comparing him to like Heath Ledger's Joker. And me and my buddy were like, no, no, he's not Heath Ledger's Joker. First of all, he's not Heath Ledger's Joker because he had nowhere near the screen time that Heath Ledger had in The Dark Knight. So his presence, he does a lot, but also not a lot at the same time because he's not on screen all that much. One of the things that he does, actually, he takes Dave Bautista's spot, right, in the hierarchy of the Harkonnens. He uses artillery to go bomb the Fremen's hideouts, but it just kind of happens. I was really curious. I was like, how did he know where they were? Because for majority of the movie, they're like, yo, this is a hidden place. Nobody knows where this is. And then it seemed like when the movie required it, all of a sudden, Feyd-Rautha knew where they were and he was bombing them. That's something that like didn't make sense to me. May thy knife chip, shatter. Damn, I was hyped. Everybody else, great in the movie. But honestly, once again, the biggest takeaway from this movie that I'll have is I will never forget the visual feast that my eyes were treated to. If you're somebody who found the first part kind of boring, I'll tell you, yes, this is definitely part 1 and part 2, and you will get a lot of your action and excitement in part 2. This is like a perfect example of how studios should do part 1 and part 2. One other perfect example that I can think of is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. It's like where the first part, it's like, it's pretty good, but it definitely feels like a setup. And the second half is like where you really pack in all of your action. So these are really good examples of how studios should pick and choose of when to do part 1 and part 2 or how to execute them. That entire third act war sequence, I was at the edge of my seat. Just locked in, just wow. I know it's early, it's only March, but this is probably the movie of 2024. I've looked into 2024 and I'm like, kind of like a bit of a weak year. Like I'm excited for this and that, but kind of like a weak year. Who knows? Maybe there's like a really big sleeper somewhere down the line. But right now it's hard not to say that this is going to be the movie of 2024, which is funny because it was supposed to come out like in like 2023. Man, imagine the Oscars now if this movie did come out in 2023. Dune, Oppenheimer. Oh my god. Oh man, that would be a tough battle. Let me know down in the comments if Dune Part 2 came out in 2023, who would you give the Oscar to? Denis Villeneuve or Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer? And Denis, man, one of the best filmmakers working right now, and he'll go down in the history books as one of the greatest filmmakers because just look at his filmography. It's amazing. It's bangers after bangers, especially the last couple of years. The stuff that he's been making is quite literally Dune. Out of this world. I love all his interviews where he goes like, yeah, you know, if the studio greenlights Dune 3 or Dune Messiah, I would like to do this and that. They're greenlighting that shit, bro. They are. Come on. You make this and people are flocking to the theaters right now to see this. They're greenlighting this. They should greenlight this by tomorrow. But also apparently it's being reported that even if Dune 3 gets greenlit, it's not going to be his next movie. So we might be waiting a couple of years for Dune 3. And it's funny because, well, I'm currently on Dune Messiah, the book. I just started a couple of days ago. And I'm thinking to myself that in terms of movies, I would like this to be a very tight and conclusive trilogy. But I know Denis has only talked about covering, well, the first Dune book and then the second one, Dune Messiah, completing a trilogy. So I'm kind of hoping that we get like a really solid, conclusive trilogy that we can be satisfied with. And then I guess if the studio wants to get some other director to do the other Dune books, then okay. Down the road, I just don't see actors like Timothée or Zendaya wanting to be tied down to a big franchise where they have to do a bunch of other movies. I feel like they might want to just do the trilogy with Villeneuve, and then that's it. Villeneuve doesn't come off as a director who wants to also be tied down to do like 7 other Dune movies. He's talked multiple times about he just wants to do a trilogy, and that's it. And I also feel like a lot of the actors might just call it quits after Villeneuve's done. They might want to be like, hey, if he's done, I'm done. I don't want to do Dune with somebody else. Dune Part 2 is just as good as everybody's saying it is. It's a visual marvel. A very, very strong narrative. And just a great time at the cinemas, man. If you get a chance, go out there and see this movie on the biggest screen you can. I've only ever seen Dune Part 1 once. I've seen it on the big screen. And again, Back then, I was like, wow, these visuals are stunning, but the story is kind of slow moving for me. So I've never wanted to sit down at home and watch Dune on my like shitty small TV. Dune Part 2, because I really like the narrative more, I'm gonna watch at home. But these movies, you just have to see on the big screen. So yeah, that was my review to Dune Part 2. Let me know down in the comments, what did you think about the movie? I would love to have a discussion with you about that. This is probably gonna be, like I said, the movie of 2024 in my opinion. We'll see. We got quite a few months left in the year. But yeah, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. Check out some other videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.